Most listened to shows in the country. You're listening to the Michael Smerconish Program.
Thank you so much for all of these telephone calls. I really appreciate it, and I'm apologetic if I got long-winded, but I wanted to lay out, and I think, thanks to TC in large part, I think I was able to just provide you with all of the Benghazi recap information that you need if you're into that issue, and I think a lot of us are keenly interested in it. So thank you for being here. Derek, your patience are rewarded, my friend. You are on. Hi.
Hi, Michael. I just wanted to really thank you for getting into the weeds of this subject here, because, I mean, this has been bothering me like unbelievable. And last night I was just, I'm just going to try to stay calm in this conversation here. For 2 weeks, President Obama blamed the protesters in the video for what happened in Benghazi. For 2 weeks, Rice was out there. He was on The View. President Obama is all over the country. Nobody in this country actually heard President Obama say that it was terrorism or terrorists that struck the consulate in Libya. And now, when he's confronted with it directly, during the debate last night, he starts playing word games as if Bill Clinton plays that little word. That depends what you mean by the word is. This is what Obama threw at us last night. He's playing word games. He still has not answered why he sat there for 2 damn weeks talking about a video and protesters. There's something wrong here. He's covering something up, and I'm really getting sick of this administration's BS on this subject. Like I said, I'm a little flamed over this. Last night, Candy Crowley sat there and she ran interference for the president on this question. They never got to it. The next debate, Monday night, I guarantee you, we're going to hear Mitt Romney question Barack Obama on this particular subject in depth, or somebody has to, because there's something going on here. And you know what I think it is?
Tell me.
I think that our President Barack Obama, is so stuck up in his ideological affiliation with the Islamists in the Middle East that he is doing everything he possibly can. He turned a 9/11 terrorist attack into an opportunity to try to connect with radical Islamists who are jumping around burning the American flag. He tried to basically make nice with them, talking about the video. He used the deaths of 4 Americans to try to connect with terrorists. Our president. That's what I believe.
All right, let's have a conversation about this for a moment. I thought that Candy Crowley, in encapsulating what Obama had said and where the administration for 14 days didn't have its act together, I thought she summarized that correctly. I know that a lot of people are objecting to the fact that she said anything in that regard, but having just played the tape for you, when Candy Crowley says, in fact, I'll read it to you literally, he did, in fact, sir, call it an act of terror. Well, he did reference an act of terror. I just played the tape. And then she said, again, in deference to Governor Romney's criticism, and it did as well take... you're cutting me off. I listened to you.
Sorry.
It did as well take 2 weeks or so for the whole idea of there being a riot out there about this tape to come out. You, she said to Romney, are correct about that.
Michael, we're playing word games with the word terror that Obama used as a little. He pulled that out of his pocket. He said, I said terrorist. He pulled a little soundbite out of his pocket, threw it out there as if he addressed the situation with him blaming everything on the video. He did not address it.
Well, let me come back to something that I said on stage Saturday night in Boston. First of all, let's agree where you and I see this entirely the same way. The narrative shifted. The first information that was put out by Ambassador Rice, incorrect. And it seems to have gone on for an inordinate amount of time. On that, you and I are lockstep, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I now try and get into the weeds and say, let's assume like the worst. Let's be Machiavellian. What really could have driven the administration to want to deceive? The attack happened on September 11. It's inconceivable to me that in the world in which we live, with so many people paying attention and investigating this, that they could have thought, we're going to keep this under wraps from September 11 all the way until November 6th. And why? Why would it necessarily harm him if it were an act of terror? See, that's where I don't think there's a likely explanation that this is some kind of a Watergate moment.
Well, let's look at the New York Times last weekend. This subject was all over the news. People talking about, what's going on with Benghazi, what's going on with the video, why isn't Obama coming clean on the whole thing? You know what? The media is just kind of covering, smoozing that over. I'm not I'm an independent, first of all. I'm not a GOP or I voted for Bill Clinton, and I see that. The media is not even addressing this. Nobody's throwing this up nobody's asking Barack Obama. I think the closest person that came to actually interrogate Barack Obama on this was the woman on The View there, Behar or whatever her name is.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's going at him on this. And it's his philosophy. I believe it's his ideological. He's just stuck in that far left little corner where it's all this in the '60s, they're sticking the flowers in the barrels of the guns.
What's the question you think he needs to answer?
I want him to come out and tell the American people why. For 2 weeks, he told us it was a protest that got out of control. That was basically the video. Somebody made a video or cartoon or whatever the heck it was. And why is he blaming 4 Americans being murdered on a video? Whereas on 9/11 of all dates, 9/11.
Right, understood.
Okay, we're talking about 9/11.
Well, look,
he's trying to blame it on somebody else, on an American that made a video.
I would be, well, don't underplay that video, though, because that video was the cause of protests and deaths around the globe. It did not spark Benghazi, but let's not, and thank you for your phone call, Derek, let's not act like, they made a mountain out of a molehill. That video was a significant event. There was one particular attack in Pakistan that took dozens of lives. Monday night is all about foreign policy. How could you have a debate about foreign policy where this doesn't come up? It has to.
A radio show of the people, for the people. Kilmeade and Friends.
All right, Derek in Massachusetts. Hey, Derek.
Hi, Brian. How you doing?
Good.
This is serious here, and I don't know if you have a minute here. I know you're running out of time, but this is serious. The whole Benghazi issue here has more to do. I know people want to say he's trying to say it was just kicked terrorism down and Al Qaeda's on the run. This has more to do with the other. If you look what he did after the attack on us, he wasn't trying to play the victory lap. What he did is he ran to the United Nations and he spoke to the world and he tried to connect with the radical Islamists in the world. He tried to connect with the same people that shot that 14-year-old girl in the head. He thinks that there's some way that we can reach out to these ideological nutheads that have nothing in common to do with our values, our democracy, in America. He thinks he can reach out and connect with these people and wrap his arm around them.
Well, now he knows he can't.
Messiah.
Remember, he was going to talk to our enemies?
Yeah, he's playing the global messiah here. That's what he thinks he is, with Islam. And you know what? You got to carry a big stick with these people. Yes, you have a carrot and a big stick. There's got to be a line drawn in the sand. Where democracy and free people live and where Sharia law lives. Okay, you can't sit there and knock out the Mubaraks of the world and let Al Qaeda move in and take everything over, because then you've just gone from one extreme to the other. You got to draw a line in the sand and say, hey, the radical Sharia law can go over here. Anybody that wants to be free and live under a set of rules that, all people can live under, you can go on this side of the line. Let the people on the other side of the line kill each other, fight over their religions, do whatever the hell they want. But you're not going to win the Middle East by sitting there, taking down the Mubaraks of the world and letting the Islamic nutheads take over.
Right.
Meanwhile,
in Iran, another opportunity no one's talking about, because inflation is up 70% and their dollar's devalued, whatever their currency is. There's been riots all throughout Iran. Have we done anything to make sure those riots get magnified? No.